Trump is defending his decision to pardon or commute the sentences of hundreds of January 6 rioters, including key figures from far-right groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. The president's even suggested there could be a place in American politics for those extremist groups whose leaders were convicted of seditious conspiracy against the U.S. Among the roughly 1,500 people pardoned by Trump were more than 200 who pleaded guilty to assaulting the police.
They've served years in jail, and murderers don't even go to jail in this country. And we had 1,500. We have 16 under review. As you know, we commuted about 16 of them because it looks like they could have done things that were not acceptable for a full pardon. But these people have served years of jail, and their lives have been ruined. And in many cases, listen to me for a second. Stop interrupting. They've served years in jail.
We're going to talk more about this with Angela Diffley, who joins me on set. Angela, there's been quite a lot of reaction to these executive orders, particularly to these pardons, and it's not just coming from the Democrats.
No, at least one poll has said that roughly 60% of Americans disapprove of this blanket ban. It is important to set the context for those of us outside the United States. Two narratives have emerged after what happened on January the 6th, and this in spite of the investigation, which came up with clear conclusions. One is that this was an attempted insurrection that is broadly supported by most Democrats and quite a few Republicans who were very, very concerned by it all. The other, supported by many pro-Trumpers, is that this was a riot that got out of hand. And that is important to keep in our heads as we look at these. This has taken some people by surprise, this blanket ban. Only just over 10 days ago or so, J.D. Vance, Vice President, said that they would be done on a or suggested they would be pardoned on a case-by-case basis. He certainly said that people involved in violence would not be pardoned. And here we have some people who were involved in violence against police officers. One police officer died the day after from his wound. 140 police officers were injured on that day. The biggest police union in the United States, which endorsed Trump, has said they're very concerned about this. It sends the wrong message. And it's interesting to look at the Republican Party, which has been largely supine in the face of the Trump takeover of the party. Few Republicans have spoken out. Many of them have tried to avoid the question. Some are speaking out, notably one Republican, Jake Auchincloss, who has been saying this sends a completely the wrong message about looking after the police, that the Republican Party, and there will be other voices saying the same thing, used to be all about law and order. What has happened to the Republican Party? It's worth noticing that Trump, of course, signed quite a few of these presidential decrees in very public, theatre-like circumstances, threw the pens into the crowd. This was done a little bit behind the scenes, and it's clear that he knew there'd be a reaction to it.
And also it's provoking a lot of questions about what this might mean for the U.S. justice system itself.
Yeah, I think of the many changes since Trump was elected. You can agree or disagree with many of them. Immigration, for example, but it's clear that he was given a mandate to sort out the southern border in some way. The situation around the justice system is of particular concern because both sides now believe the US justice system is weaponized. Both sides, we had a lot of people coming up to Trump's election saying that many of the cases against him were politically motivated, particularly the one in New York where it was a discrepancy on his financial recordings of his businesses. They said the case was out of all proportion to the offence committed. That was where he was convicted, the Stormy Daniels hush money case. There was a lot of that coming up. A lot of pro-Trumpers feel the system was weaponized against him. It has to be said he was involved in a lot of cases. The evidence doesn't really stack up on some of them about it being weaponized against him. Equally, people are citing Joe Biden doing those preemptive pardons, pardoning members of his own family. on Inauguration Day, pardoning people he feared the Trump administration would go after because they took part in that January the 6th investigation committee. And on the other side, you have people saying that Trump is simply correcting an excessive sentencing policy over these Jan 6ers, many of whom were just trespassing, standing on the grass, vaguely involved. It needs an overhaul. The presidential pardon system needs looking at, and the US justice system is in for a very rocky period because neither side believes in it anymore.